everyone. I'm going to do a bit of housekeeping first by asking, can you all hear me on fantasy? Excellent. Can you hear on Astound? Excellent. Can you hear me on Awesome? Thanks, Zach. That's brilliant. Okay, so we have sound on all three regions. And let's make a start. Today, I've got my first group collective, and I'm talking to the Second Life marketing team, which consists of Brett. You say hello, Brett, so they know which one you are.
Hello, everyone.
And Darcy.
Hello, everyone.
Strawberry.
Hello.
Maverick.
Hey, guys.
And Tara Linden.
Hello.
Okay. The live audience, I know, can see us all with our names over our heads, so it's not a problem, but it's nice for the YouTube audience to get it as well. So together, the marketing focus on both the acquisition of new users and the retention of existing users for Second Life. So the team uses both paid and non-paid tactics to promote Linden Lab and its products across both traditional and digital media outlets. The team includes industry veterans and experts in advertising, public relations, and public relations, editorial, e-commerce, web analytics, SEO, SMM, SEM, and social media community management. Now, first of all, can I ask, what is SEO, SMM, and SEM?
That's funny. Darcy, do you want to do it, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I can do it real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, so SEO, search engine optimization, SEM, search engine marketing, and SMM, social media marketing.
Great. So you're from a variety of backgrounds. Could you explain those individually and how you came into Second Life and what your individual Linden roles are? Brett, would you like to start?
Sure. Thank you for having us here. I am the Senior Director of Marketing, and I work with an amazing team that all of us together work daily on all the initiatives that you've just mentioned, everything from organic to paid advertising to PR and media coverage to social media and so forth. And so my colleagues, some of them are actually specialists in these areas. We also work closely with other departments like product and engineering. One thing I want to say real quickly is that I know from these types of events that we oftentimes get either praise or criticism directed at us for sometimes things that we have nothing to do with, for better or for worse. So for example, things like last names and the new user experience and avatar customization are product features that we may be consulted on, but we're not necessarily the decision makers on. But we'll speak to what we can today in marketing. I have a long history in the tech sector. I worked in early days at Amazon.com and another tech company called Real Networks. I also was a music journalist for many years. Had the good fortune to interview a lot of legends in the industry: David Bowie, Peter Gabriel, Stevie Wonder, Bjork, Tupac, etc. So I made a bit of a career shift from the music sector to the tech sector, and ultimately that led me to here at Second Life.
Excellent. Who'd like to go next?
I can take. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, no, so, going off what Brett said, I've been doing marketing since an internship that started in college. So I think it's been 10 plus years for sure. I began in broadcasting, so, traditional over the air, and then eventually found myself doing digital marketing for big brands such as Gap and Microsoft, and also various digital publications as well. And, I've always been a gamer. So, when I saw this position open up, it was a no-brainer, interviewed, and yeah, the rest is history.
Fantastic. Tara.
Steve. So I actually started in administration and joined the marketing team fairly recently. I am a marketing content specialist, and my main projects are writing blogs and content for the website's community pages, as well as copy for promotional purposes. I have a degree in screenwriting, and what I love about being a writer is that in order to create authentic material, you're kind of like a lifelong student of the world. And I've written about all kinds of Second Life communities, from sailing to vampires and fashion, and researching these niche interests to make our reach genuine is really fun. And I get to learn about the great variety of interests that residents have, and it makes my job really engaging. I'm very happy to be here.
As someone who does Designing Worlds TV show, yes, that is absolutely fascinating, finding out about all of that. So, Strawberry, what about you?
Well, I'm totally new to Second Life. Never been here before.
Completely.
Okay, bad joke. Okay, so you may know, I don't know, maybe people don't know, I've been a Second Life resident since 2007. It's gonna age myself here. And I was blogging about Second Life for over a decade, I think, on this little fashion blog thing that I had going. And then I saw that Second Life was hiring for a marketing position. I applied and got in April of last year. And I was initially hired to create content such as like images and videos, and I did some tutorials and so forth to help promote Second Life. And since January 2020, I've also been handling the social media and a variety of other projects that are on my plate and keep me very busy.
I hope we'll talk about some of the ones you've been working on as the conversation goes on. But now, if I can turn to Maverick and ask you about your role.
Hi. Yep. Hi, guys. This is Maverick Linden. I joined the lab about 5 years ago, almost 6 years now. I am the marketing analyst, aka the data guy on the marketing team. I'm in charge of all marketing related reporting, and I work really closely with Darcy Linden here on some of the performance marketing campaigns as well.
Right. Brilliant. One thing that intrigues me, a lot of the Lindens have really, how can I put this, different avatars. So we have Grumpy, for example, who famously is a stick figure and so on. You've all come very human. In fact, all my guests this week have been very human so far. Is it sort of policy for the marketing team to have human avatars, or do you have other avatars as well? Anyone can answer that.
Yeah, I mean, Brett, as the director of marketing and as all of our bosses, he really runs the marketing department with an iron fist. So this is something that we have to do.
I love that.
That is not true.
Yeah, no, during the mic check, we talked about this a bit. I personally had a few different non-human avatars, but I actually ended up copying Saros Linden, so that was definitely not going to happen. That's what I landed on. But it's so hard to choose an avatar, who reflects you. So I'm like, you know what? If Pride was going on right now in San Francisco, I would be wearing this. So I'm trying to do as much as I can, at least closely to what I look like in real life.
Yeah, I have to say, you all look great. I mean, this is not a criticism of the way you look by any means. So, turning to questions, more serious questions. This is something I've been asking about with the different departments all week, but it's really a vital question. How has the team been impacted by the pandemic?
I think I can answer that one. It's been interesting. We're human beings, believe it or not. Lindens are humans. So we've had, a variety of reactions as we all sort of grapple with what the world is grappling with. And it's difficult, to be very honest. It's also been very strange. We're in an unusual situation in that, while personally, we, like everybody else, are affected deeply by what's going on, professionally, there's this little strange phenomena that's happening, which is that Second Life is seeing a bit of a resurgence in terms of people discovering it for the first time or rediscovering it. Certainly, we've seen that in the numbers. So we've seen a new, sort of a surge in new activity as people, I think, are looking at Second Life as a way for safe and fun social interactions, especially during times of anxiety and stress, and obviously in many cases social isolation. So it's an escape more than ever, right? And that's what many of us have used Second Life for lots of reasons, as an extension of our identity, as a place for recreation, everything in between. But for many people, they're discovering the utility of it right now. So everything from just going to a good live show that they can't do now, in the real world, right, or the physical world. So all these things. So we're seeing a strong uptick, and that's been written about in some of the media. We're seeing a lot of mainstream media attention again, so that's also unusual. And I don't say these things to brag or boast about them. It's just a very surreal, weird situation to be in, where you see parts of the world kind of crumbling in despair, but then professionally, the place that you work at is actually affected in a positive way by it, as people are looking to it and appreciating it, perhaps in a way that many had not before. So that's what I'd say about that. As far as numbers, maybe Darcy will weigh in if people want to know more about that. But what I will say is that during April in particular, where we sort of saw the peak of the resurgence for Second Life, we were just shy of about 900,000 monthly active users, which, just to be honest, was a high that we had not seen in many, many years, I think since maybe 2007. And I think that a lot of, hopefully, our merchants and creators and community members have seen this too, and been welcoming to the newcomers that come in. A lot of old timers coming back as well. So yeah.
Darcy, sorry, did you say Darcy? No, Maverick has the figures.
I don't know if Darcy, do you want to share anything more specific? I mean, one thing I'll say. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, please. Oh,
no, go ahead.
Yeah. So, we were in marketing, we were, just running campaigns, and we were growing steadily over, the last, few years that I've been here. So it's been really good. But I will say, again, the coronavirus, it really sucks, just with everything happening. So it's not great, at least for me, like mentally, that's like, oh, great. People are inside and they have more time. But, when this hit, we saw such a surge of new users, which has been, of course, phenomenal. But at the same time, at least with the campaigns that we're doing and we're working on, eventually, hopefully the coronavirus is over, right? And people will have more time to go outside and not be, inside all the time. So with that being said, we are looking towards the future of like, okay, like let's continue the growth that we were doing before this happened, and let's make sure that those numbers stay up.
We've seen the increased concurrency. Many of us know that anecdotally, former users are returning. People going, mesh? What's mesh? How do I wear clothes these days? So what sort of challenges do these returners and an uptake in new residents present to the marketing team?
Sure, I can grab that one as well. And Strawberry might be able to talk more about the mesh instances. Overall, we do look at residents in three buckets, really. One is, new, returning, and, people who re-engaged, and then people who have already been engaged with the product itself. So with that being said, all the numbers are up across the board, which is amazing. But, looking at new users overall, I actually got an email this morning from a new resident who said like they're confused, and I'm not even in support, but, I try to figure out what their issue is because, we're in marketing, that's our job. So with that being said, I do want to take this back to maybe a year ago, to the last Second Life Summit, where, the issues we're seeing now aren't anything new. It's something that we have known about, that we are working towards. So, and as Brett said earlier as well, we're not the final people to like say, hey, this is going to happen, but we do put in our input. So during that Second Life Summit, actually, April Linden brought this up of like, hey, everyone, like right now, drop what you're doing and make a new avatar and go put on clothes right now. And so all of us in the room, all the engineers, we all sat down and did that. And we're like, okay, what went wrong? What happened? So we took a bunch of notes. Went back to the drawing board. We're like, okay, like what can we do to make this easier overall for new residents who come in? Because I mean, the inventory system is intense. The learning curve has always been intense. We know this. So what can we do to fix that? So we have a lot of notes and documentation on ideas. But again, bringing this back to, you know, something that's probably talked about in Oz's part where, Gentle, I see your comment in there as well. Yeah. So back to probably what Oz talked about was the uplift. It's a really big deal. So until that is fully complete, there won't be as many changes as we'd like to make within that, and also within the growth team, which I'm a part of. So we're really excited. We have a lot of ideas. Also, Steel Toe is back on the Second Life team, and he's been just so great in terms of UX and UI. And he already has a whole bunch of designs laid out for like how this could be improved. So we're on it. We're working on it. It's just going to be a little bit of time. So.
Someone in chat said that Chillfire Burger says Strawberry's YouTube tutorials on Mesh have been a godsend for oldies like me returning.
Well, thank you.
So,
I'm happy they're informative.
Would you recommend that people go and take a look? I think we can.
Yeah, if you go to the Second Life YouTube channel, it's just youtube.com/Second Life. There's two playlists that we have if you go into our playlist sections. One is tutorials that we have done in-house, mostly from me and past Lindens, like totally excellent tutorials, a little dated, but you could still learn a lot. And I've done a Bakes on Mesh tutorial as well. There's also another playlist that I add to their YouTube tutorials from the community. So I keep an eye on all the wonderful vloggers that we have up and coming from the different residents creating all kinds of videos. So I keep adding informative tutorials in there as well. So there's other things like creating a whole avatar from scratch and using all mesh items, all kinds of stuff in there. So take a look at the playlist. You'll definitely find a lot of information from us and as well as from the residents.
Zach Remix has just put up the address. So if you want in local chat, so if you can grab that, everyone, you can go to it straight after this. Now, I understand that some big media properties and brands have returned to Second Life. Can you tell me a bit about that? And are you actively encouraging more to return? So it is going to be totally 2007 again.
Yeah, who would have thought, right? Well, it has been exciting to see that, you know, whether it be organizations, brands, artists, performers, whatever, take another look at Second Life, some of which may have looked at it, like you say, in 2007-ish or so. But before I even talk about that, I actually just want to really, for context, give props to the ongoing support from the community of creators and merchants that have frankly just stuck with Second Life through thick and thin. You know, they're the heart and soul of the community. So we don't have any delusion about the fact that, oh my God, mainstream brands are returning or whatever. To put into proper context, really, it's the longtime resident creators, artists, performers, etc., that, you know, are the heart and soul of SL. So that's really important. With that said, though, yes, it's true that there have been some mainstream brands and organizations that have checked out Second Life for the first time or again lately, some of which have been instigated by the community, actually. So it's nothing that we did other than to try to amplify or promote. Australia, who many know is a wonderful creator in the community, had secured a licensing deal on her own with Sanrio to bring Hello Kitty and other licensed characters into Second Life. And we worked with her closely to, you know, call attention to that. There's obvious implications for that as far as bringing new fans of Sanrio into Second Life. Another community member has connections to the National Football League, NFL, and their alumni association. They recently held an official event in Second Life, and we hope that there will be more through that community member. We directly at Linden Lab partnered with Adult Swim for an exclusive world premiere screening of episodes of the show, The Shivering Truth. This was about a month ago. And we think that there'll be more sort of exclusives with, you know, them and other partners like that in the future. So it's a good cross section of things that are happening organically from the community that are the real experts and masterminds at how to make these kinds of things work. And then when we can help, we will. There's a lot more in the works that I can't really share right now, but the one thing I will say in particular that I'm really excited about is in a future viewer release, the integration of better support for live video streaming. So people know that you can do YouTube video embeds and things like that, media on a prim or whatever right now, but there's the idea that you can do live video streaming in real time and add that into an environment. And so that opens up the door for a lot of exciting events for the community as it exists, and perhaps brands and entertainment companies. So more to come there.
That does sound very exciting. We were recently doing the Relay for Life telethon, which we filmed and showed. But I don't think I'm not sure whether we embedded it in Second Life. It would be, it'd be great to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Can I just ask quickly a question that you talk about YouTube? Can you also embed Vimeo?
You know what? I would need to check with Oz which platforms are supported in the next one. I know we've done some testing, and in fact, with Adult Swim, it was YouTube Live. And I know there's a lot of interest because that's certainly not the be all and end all, right? So the goal is to try to make it as wide reaching as it can. I actually don't know, to be honest with you, but that's something we'll announce in our support notes that come out with the viewer. And it's very soon, by the way. I'm not at liberty to say the exact date, but it is far along and very soon.
Excellent. Right. So with the recent Black Lives Matter movement gaining traction, has Linden Lab given any thought to improving representation and diversity in its marketing efforts?
Sure, I can take that one. I would say absolutely. Linden Lab has always felt that inclusivity is a huge part of what makes the world of Second Life so vibrant in terms of connection and self-expression. And I think that recently our team has become more cognizant of the need to really emphasize this. I think a big part of improving representation is not only presenting images that feature a diverse array of avatars, but also normalizing identities that exist outside of cisgender, Caucasian, heteronormativity. Being a minority, a member of the LGBTQ plus community, or someone with a disability, it's not a choice. It's the three-dimensional reality of so much of the world, and all of these perspectives are valid. And I think that keeping that in mind is a great way to avoid any sense of tokenism, so we can, have authentic representation and make people feel safe to be whoever they want to be.
That's great. Do any of the others want to add to that?
I mean, I think that was very well said, and obviously our entire team supports that. So, it's important.
Okay, so the Second Life logo, it was updated recently. Why did you decide to give it a refresh? And how long do you think it will take to propagate it across websites and in the world?
I think we have an in-house UI/design expert, which is Linden, who really spearheaded the redesign. Everyone kind of just agreed that it's a much needed brand refresh, since we haven't really done it for at least a decade now. So everyone wanted to want something a little more modern, but we also wanted to keep it consistent and then pay respect to the classic logo. So I mean, the seafoam green was great, but the new color is just definitely so much more refreshing, and everybody here loves it. So again, just really thank you to a big thank you to Steel Toe Linden, who made this whole thing happen. And then of course we're in the middle of the process to kind of replace that, and I think we're mostly done with most of the web properties to get the new logo up. And I think slowly we'll get like everything, pretty much all the assets and world in sync as well. It's taking us a little bit of time, but I think we're doing it and just moving forward. Yeah.
What's the position on residents using that logo if they want to advertise something to do with Second Life or talk about something to do with Second Life? Because I know there was a period where there was a very kind of firm suggestion, diktat possibly, that we shouldn't use that logo, the old logo. How relaxed are you about people using it now?
I'll follow up on that. So honestly, I don't want to speak out of sync with our legal team. I realize that sounds kind of weird, but the general thing I would say is whatever our stance has been recently with use of the Second Life logo, typically we want people to, ask permission to use it. That's a legal question on the specific process of that, but legal@lindenlab.com is where people would send their inquiry if they want to use it. And again, I don't want to be the one to misrepresent how it should be used, but there's been no change in just because the logo's changed in that process.
Right. Okay. So there seems, now Tara, this is for you, I think. There seems to be a lot of new content that's being posted on the blogs and social channels. Can you speak to why that's happening and what your strategy is behind it?
Well, I think Strawberry's a little more experienced with the blog, so I think she might be better fit for that. But I mean, I know that I'll let her go, and then I'll supplement it.
Sure. Strawberry, can I ask you about the blogs?
Well, what we're trying to do is we're trying to have a more of a substantial presence on socials and blogs, and we're on our side we're a lot more prolific now than more than ever before with the in-house content that we're producing, like video content, especially with book club and lab gab and destination videos and the Made in SL videos. We have Drax working on contract for us, and he's producing really great content. So we're just trying to showcase our community events and our residents and all the things that they're doing, the amazing destinations. We're trying to showcase that more, shine more light on that, because our platform is so diverse and it's wonderful. And we're just trying to put that more out there. And on a personal level for the socials, I'm just trying to make it a little bit more engaging, fun, and diverse as well. I'm trying to do different things, introducing the employees or asking or doing challenges or memes just to get more involvement and just have some more fun with it. And yeah, basically, also I want to give a shout out to the vloggers again. There's so many bloggers and bloggers signing up for the Blogger Network, and they're putting out such amazing content, especially with podcasts and tutorials and exploring videos. And I just really want to showcase that more as well. And I know Tara's doing a great job doing different, highlighting different topics and blog posts as well. So we're trying to get that information out there. Tara, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, first of all, the challenges that Strawberry has been organizing have been so fun. I would definitely check them out. Hopefully there are more coming. And yeah, there's such an expansive world, and I mean, I feel like it would take so long to know everything. So I just kind of like to highlight little things, so it's not overwhelming, just giving people starting points to explore.
So I'm just checking back. Maya Janus has said for films that are broadcast during the Nice Carnival, she didn't have the right to use the SL logo when there are thousands of spectators, and no one understands that I use Second Life. So maybe, Moya, the answer is to ask the lab for permission to use the logo.
And
Would
also,
that be right, Brett?
Oh, please, Brett.
Yes, ask permission. And I think legal @ which is one of our email addresses, but it's also IP team. So ipteam@lindenlab.com.
Great. And lots of people are saying how much they like the blogs and the social media. So, yay. One problem, though, that I often hear about is the impossibility for in-world companies and events to reach out to the largest possible audience in Second Life. There are within Second Life media companies like Seraphim, which has an eye-watering number of hits in the millions. But I still hear people bemoaning the fact that even small companies have to put a lot of time into publicizing rather than creating. Does the lab have any thoughts about how this could be made easier for companies and event organizers?
Oh, I am very excited. I think I could take this one, Brett, if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah, please.
Sweet. Also, Moya, your account has been flagged. You'll hear from our lawyers pretty soon. I'm so kidding. I'm super kidding. Okay. Anyways, going back. Oh my gosh. No, I'm really excited to talk about some of the ideas that we've had. Given Seraphim and all these other we have such an opportunity on all of our web properties. We have many page views across the entire SL universe on the web. Mm-hmm. So, when I came in and having experience in digital publication, I saw some quick things that we can do relatively easily. Well, I always say easily, and all the engineers roll their eyes. It's never that easy. There's several things that we can do, to help creators show off their work to potential buyers and other residents. So one thing that we were thinking about is I think people are really familiar with the product listing ads that we have on the marketplace. That is like 0.00 version 1 of what eventually we'd want to do. And here's the idea. Is pretty much you take that and you make your own advertising network on Second Life itself, right? So we have all this data in the back end and it's just sitting there, right? So if someone buys boots and they're likely to buy boots, you could show them an ad on some SL property and maybe, pay for that using Linden dollars like you do with the PLAs at the moment. So we're calling it the SL Advertiser Network. So with that being said, you could go through and you can buy ad inventory on Second Life properties itself, and also maybe within the viewer too. So again, it's still in ideation mode, very early. I talked earlier about Uplift. Once that's done in 2021, by 2021, we will be looking at doing something like that.
Would you also be able to have an event section in that? Because I know that a lot of people really want to get events out there and can't, they find it very difficult to get that overall reach.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, you'd be able to go through and really just, let's say for instance, you had an event and this could be over any SL property. You're like, hey, this creator had an event. All these people showed up. By using anonymized data, we could say, oh, these other residents might be interested in that event. Would you be willing to put down some, Linden dollars to reach them? And of course, we were thinking about maybe even getting out reports to those advertisers as well within the residents themselves, right? If you buy advertising, you deserve some sort of reporting that's relatively, at least. And okay, stepping back real quick, what I do and Eric as well on advertising out there in the virtual universe, we'd want to bring that same idea and that same technology and the capabilities into our own systems themselves. So yeah, not just products, but also events and anything else you can really think of. So
right, Gentle Heron has said that she admits she couldn't market herself out of a wet paper bag. I think she's done very well with virtual ability myself, but she's asking, what can we individual residents and members of real life organizations which could benefit from knowing about Second Life do to help the work of the Second Life marketing team?
There's a lot. I mean, anybody can jump in here. I think for me, I've said this actually, I think before, but the number one thing is word of mouth, and that's just with pride sharing your experiences and creations in Second Life, whether that be word of mouth directly, person to person, friend to family, or obviously on social media. And I mean, Strawberry may speak better than I about this as our social media guru, but the amount of creativity and the prolific nature of community created content, pictures, videos, experiences, etc., is just the shining example of what makes Second Life so amazing, and why would you want to hide that? So I think that, to me, I just get astounded when I look at YouTube or I look at Flickr and I see the sheer volume daily of new material that the community presents. So celebrate it.
And I just want to add, for those residents that do have amazing regions or have a special event happening or anything, submit your place to the destination guide, or email us at editor@lindenlab.com to let us know about what's going on, and we will do our best, if we can, to feature it on the destination guide and possibly on the socials if we're able to. If you have a blog, join the blogger network. If you're taking beautiful pictures, submit them to our Flickr group. Let us know that you're there and you're doing something, and we will definitely, if we are able to, definitely try to promote it.
I'm going to be asking most questions. If questions kind of tie into what we're talking about, I'm going to try and come in with them quickly. But if they're more general questions or start a new topic, I'm going to put them at the end of this chat, just to let you know. You will have seen your question, but we won't be answering it until later, unless it directly relates to the topic we're discussing. Okay? And if you have a question, can you put it into local chat? I've got someone who's collecting questions for me and feeding them directly to me. So it would be very cool if you can put questions in local chat. Thanks. Okay, so Strawberry, you are running a great social media campaign that gives a bit more information about the people who work at Linden Lab. How did you decide who to feature? And what did you learn about the employees who contributed and their selection of avatars?
Yay, I was hoping you would ask me about this. So first, I want to give credit where credit is due. The idea for this campaign, if you're not aware of it, you can just search for our official Second Life Flickr account and you'll see all of our employee images there. Basically, we've shared obviously not all of the employees, but some of them, their images and some little bit of information that they wanted to share with us. So the idea came from something Naz Linden showed me, and I loved it, and I kind of ran with it and made it our own kind of thing. So thank you, Naz, for giving me the idea. And Steel Toe Linden, our principal designer, he helped me design the layout of the images, which was immensely helpful in getting them done in a timely manner. So a big shout out to both of them because they really helped me with this campaign. The campaign is purely on a volunteer basis. I didn't force anyone to participate. I may have guilted some of them into it, but there was no forcing, except maybe Tara, but that's okay. No, joke. And tomorrow actually will be the last 4 images of the employees that volunteered to be a part of this. And what I learned is that our employees are just as diverse in their avatar selection in Second Life as we are in the physical world. And also a lot of them are just downright hilarious and inspiring. And I absolutely loved the little tidbits of information that they, shared with everyone. So a big thank you to, I believe there are a total of 46, not including me, that volunteered. And so, yeah, that's the campaign. You can find it on our official Flickr. I also have a forum post going, and honestly, they're everywhere. I put them on Twitter and Instagram, everywhere. I'm sure you'll find them.
I've got the addresses, and I'm going to post them into local chat now so that people can bookmark them, copy and paste them for later. So there's the forums and the Flickr, and you enter Twitter at your own risk.
I like Twitter. It's fun.
I like Twitter. It's fun, but it can be a dangerous place. Okay. So, let's look at external media. Does Second Life advertise an external media? What's the strategy for paid ads?
Sure, I can grab that one. So yeah, we do advertise. You guys have probably seen some ads out there, and probably don't want to see some of those ads as well, as we're looking for new residents. We do launch campaigns for residents who've like lapsed and they haven't been on for a while. So we have different remarketing efforts for that. But it's on Google, their advertising network, along with programmatic ads too across the digital ad landscape. And we also have a affiliate network as well. So if no one's seen that, if you search Second Life affiliate, you can apply. And if you get new residents, we actually do pay out dollars for that. So it's very interesting. So other than that, we are looking at possibilities for new video ads, including those optimized for cord-cutting platforms. And we're super excited about that.
Can you tell us anything more about those?
Which part?
About the new ads. What
oh, yeah, new ads. So overall, we're always testing creative. We're always optimizing creative. And it's been pretty interesting actually learning more about Second Life over my last 2 years of being here. Some stuff is just a surefire hit and it just works. Other stuff, kind of hit and miss. And we test buttons, we test text, we test, of course, the creative, different avatars, non-human avatars. And, something we're really interested in too is, more community marketing. So finding like images and content within a specific community and really going out there to like find users who would be more likely to engage with that creative. So for example, the Anthro community is a big one. We've been doing some tests on there. And then also like other kind of non-human stuff, in terms of, cyborgs, et cetera.
So what part does data play? What does data play in your marketing? How do you analyze the information that's coming in?
Sure. That will be my territory. Thanks, Darcy. I think that Darcy Linden had mentioned our general strategy for the paid marketing, but again, it's everything we do here is kind of go back to data, right? I would say data has definitely been a very important part of what we called the marketing engine here at Linden Lab. Second Life is a very unique product where 95% of the magic happen in world. Since most of the marketing work we do is kind of typically front end and upstream, so it is kind of like my job to provide meaningful information for the team and always make sure that we are aware of the effectiveness in everything we do. We do have an internal database that provides us various insights that could be later linked back to our marketing initiatives. For example, we all know the world of Second Life is just so vast, right? So it's often very challenging to guide our new users through the onboarding process and help them find the right place that they want it to be. So just like what Darren said, Darcy Linden said, that we do a lot of tests, right, with different themes. And we continue just to learn from our users in the past and then see how they're reacting to different, landing pages and stuff. And we use that knowledge to kind of fine tune either our marketing language and or destination links used in our performance marketing campaigns. So simply put, we just always use data to train ourselves, and we always kind of strive to become a better matchmaker in a sense, who can better connect our users with their communities, right? On top of that, I think just one more thing I want to add, that we are kind of also constantly trying to find new ways to share some top-level in-world data with our users themselves, right? So in a recent closed beta test for our future Res Day emails, we're actually able to kind of share some of the personalized milestone stats with some individual recipient and really commend them for their contribution the past year in building a very lively and diverse community in Second Life. And from that, we are actually already seeing great results. In fact, I think the group of users that received the email was roughly about 6% more active than their counterparts in the control group. So yeah, this is just another great example of how we use data here at Linden Lab to kind of instruct our future marketing initiatives. Yeah,
that's awesome. That sounds a really great way of building. I was going to ask about a couple of the initiatives that you've had started over the recent years. First of all, the Second Life Blogger Network launched last year, and I understand you seem to be feeling that it's been going really well. Can you tell me a bit more about it? How many people are participating and how popular is it being?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. So we have around 450 bloggers and vloggers that have signed up now. And we try to showcase around 10 posts a day and even on the weekends. And we have them displayed on the community forums as well as on the login page. And of course, I also share them on the socials from time to time. It's going great. We get a lot of feedback, especially from the bloggers. They're very happy that they're being showcased. A few of them have also told me personally that they noticed a lot of traffic just from the posts, even if I don't share them on the socials. And for the ones that I do end up sharing on the socials, one or two of them have said that like their blog stats went crazy. So it was very good to hear that. But yeah, we have a lot of people signing up. Daily there are people signing up, and we've been adding them. So it's great, and I just love reading all the different bloggers and learning more about SL as well. There's so many tutorials coming in and so many different things coming in. So it's great to see it. But if you haven't signed up yet and you are a blogger and vlogger, please sign up. Hopefully we'll drop a link in the chat somewhere or something, figure that out. But yeah, sign up or just go to the community forums, you'll see it. It's community news.
I think I probably know the answer to this, but I want to ask anyway. What about sort of big events? Can they sign up as a blogger? I mean, things like Fantasy Fair, which we'll be putting out.
Yes, we actually have, I think we have Pale Girls Production has signed up, and they do all kinds of events. They do Vintage Fair and Skin Fair, and I've been posting. We posted when they do their announcements and when they do those what do you call those galleries of all the stuff there. So we do share them. So yes, absolutely. As long as it's a blog or a YouTube channel or even a Flickr. So just make sure you read the rules. There are some certain rules. There's some blogs that I'm not able to post because of legal issues, so you'll see that in the rules.
Right.
So if you have signed up and if you've never been posted, just make sure you read the legal for that, and you'll know why. And yeah, so I'll drop some links people have been asking.
Okay, that would be great. So what about the latest initiative, the Second Life Book Club? How's that going?
Well, it's going well. I think many people know the famous or infamous S-Celebrity Dragster, who does a fantastic job, I think, not only with the book club, but his ongoing what I call virtual journalism in Second Life. He likes to uncover the stories, of all the many things going on in Second Life. I think many people may know the history of the book club. It actually started initially in Sansar, and now continues, of course, in Second Life, and it's streamed doesn't just happen in world, but it's also streamed on our official channels. Sometimes it'll stream on his channel, and other times it'll stream on ours. So a combination of that. But he has really been booking some great guests. The thing about it is, in the way that we present this as to why we sort of are behind it in the way we are, is that particularly as the pandemic started to occur, and this is when this debuted, we noticed that there were certain verticals or industries that were being affected because of the limitations physically during the pandemic. And so one of the first ones we looked at was the book industry. Obviously, book authors have been greatly impacted in their ability to do meet and greets and in-store readings and things of that nature. And so the book club just seems like a logical opportunity for authors and or the book publishing industry to reach a global audience with their new releases at a time where it's really difficult to use a lot of the traditional marketing mechanisms that they've done. And so the book club kind of came to the level of support that it's gotten from us because of that recognition. And of course, there are other verticals that we're looking at, with similar types of initiatives. But that's one that's out now, and it's very exciting.
Brilliant. So, big question here. How can the community help promote Second Life? What would you like us to do?
I can answer. I would say, I feel like as Strawberry and Brett were saying earlier, I think tutorial videos are really helpful. Strawberry has shown me some really impressive ones that I think would be so beneficial to residents who have questions about how to personalize their avatars. Word of mouth marketing is always effective. So I think, telling your friends about what Second Life offers and what exactly they enjoy about it is really helpful. I also just think that being kind and open towards new residents is a great way to let newcomers know that this is a fun and safe place to be yourself. And that's one way to keep people coming back, not just signing up, but coming back and contributing to making Second Life so special. You can share your in-world photographs on our official Flickr channel, which I believe we mentioned earlier. And especially the destination guide, I think if you have created a region, please send it in. It's very cool, and that's like how we can spotlight things and get more traffic to your space.
Excellent. So I'm going to ask some questions that have come in from the community. There's been quite a few that have come in during this chat, and we had a few in advance. So Seamus Ruffo asks, as a long-term member of Second Life, I've witnessed huge increases and decreases in membership. I've noticed that a lot of major communities have lost big groups. When these groups have left Second Life, they've either taken the whole group with them, or the group dispersed and lost half its members. Most of the time, this was caused by financial issues and regions being expensive. My question is, how is the marketing team assisting in some of these communities in staying alive? To ensure a strong Second Life, I'd assume helping some of these communities would be in their best interest to help maintain a stable economy and possibly growth.
Yeah, that's a lot in that question. What I will say is our marketing team is really happy to partner for promotions that call attention to communities, events, experiences and creations that are built. That's obviously been mentioned in this chat already via the destination guide is one opportunity, our social media channels. It just depends on what it is and all that, but everybody is welcome to and should take advantage of those channels so that we can, try to bring better attention to these things. But our team doesn't get involved in, and part of this question dealt with sort of the financial side of things. So that's not our team. Patch, I think, is back tomorrow. So, maybe drop that question to him in the moles tomorrow, just to kick that one to him. So he could speak to the pricing part of it. But I will say, though, above and beyond, in addition to that, from a marketing perspective, we are absolutely open to hearing about ways that we can help to do better, to call attention to communities through the initiatives we talked about, other ideas. There's also opportunities selectively if people want to, raise their profile. We might even want to speak to them and do a spotlight on them on LabGab, which is we haven't even talked about it, which is our, weekly or bi-weekly video stream that we do. We'll bring community members in, sometimes Lindens, but also many times community members to talk about their communities. So I hope that we'll see more of that. Editor@lindenlab.com is a great way to get a hold of us if you have any ideas that you want to pitch us for appearances there or in these other efforts.
That sounds great. So how would someone suggest LabGab?
Yeah, editor@lindenlab.com is the email. It's a generic email that goes to several of us on stage, but obviously Strawberry is very active in LabGab, and she and I and others will consult as we look sort of like almost like an editorial calendar of who's going to be appearing and so forth. And we do really make an effort. I don't want to steal your thunder, Strawberry, so I'll toss it to you, but I'll just say we do make an effort to try to do a diverse range of communities that are, in the spotlight there.
And they need to send me cookies.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah, as long as they don't send them delivered by Tinies, because they'll just eat all the cookies on the way.
No, Brett's right, though. I am trying to get more diverse communities and residents featured there. I've had, since January, a number of residents at first, and then I had a bunch of Lindens on. Now I'm trying to do events. We're planning a music-related one, and there's more to come. So definitely, I'm just having a hard, because there's a lot of stuff going on with, SL17B and so forth. So it'll be a few weeks, but yeah, we'll be back into the swing of things with LabGap soon.
Oh, and I forgot a great example. So, for example, just this week, we put the spotlight on the railroads of Second Life, and there's an extremely active. I don't know if you saw. We even had a town hall about it with people that are the pioneers. There's a 5-part documentary series that Drax, of course, being the prolific videographer that he is, really spent months on. And so those kinds of things we are very much interested in. I mean, there's so many stories and communities in Second Life. I mean, we really try to go as deep as we can, but it's just we have yet to exhaust all those stories. There's just so many. I don't think we ever will. So we certainly are not trying to omit any. And if people feel like we're missing the boat on any particular community, please let us know, because we're interested in exploring these things.
Yeah, so that because new phenomenon can just take over so quickly, like the gacha craze.
Yeah.
One year there was nothing, and the next year everyone had gachas. Okay, so I'm going to continue with some more questions for the from residents, and I've got a question from Miller Thor, which is, why did Linden Labs refrain from specifying holidays in grid status, e.g. holidays when support is not there? Currently, is it called staying at home as maintenance work? This used to be different, and also showed that Linden Labs respects holidays and pays attention to its employees.
I think they do announce it on the status. I've seen it, that support will be closed from on certain day from certain timings. We recently actually had a holiday that was given to us, and I know the announcement did go on the status blog, so maybe they're being missed, or maybe I'm misunderstanding the question.
Yeah, we sure do.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, well, that's good news. Okay, so now I'm going to take a few more questions. I have a question, really good one, from Journey05 resident, who says, is any effort being made to get colleges into Second Life in the light of the pandemic? I imagine huge potential for virtual labs especially, but most colleges wanted away years ago and need help coming back. Of course, there was a point at which colleges were asked to pay full cost, which has since been changed, and they're back on sort of non-profit costs.
Yeah, the short answer is yes, absolutely. We are still working with and want to work more with the education sector. Many people in that sector have never left Second Life and continue to be very, very active. There's definitely room for growth. We recently refreshed some of our collateral marketing to those sectors or to the academic community. The connect.secondlife.com microsite is an education/enterprise site specifically. There's several new videos that profile successful use of education in Second Life that have been created. The discount is very much still active. In fact, it was even a deeper discount was made just a couple of months ago. I think Patch will kick me if I'm wrong, but I think it's $99 a region that is now the flat rate for qualified nonprofits and education, and that's the lowest price ever. So yeah, lots of opportunity there.
That's great news. I've got a question from Evelyn Colling-Zelenko, who says, how about television companies originating and producing content in Second Life? Are stations like Treat TV possible to reappear and produce new content? I would think that the answer is yes.
I want to make sure I interpret the question correctly. You mean because I'm familiar with Treat TV. So for those types of things, certainly we hope that the future rollout of live streaming will actually even give more creative options for people that want to do sort of in-world specific media. So yes, I think the platform is hopefully improving to allow for more opportunity there. If that's how the question was meant, that's my answer to it.
Yeah. Maxwell Groff is asked, does your team still focus on what was referred to as the golden hour, or that first truly immersive experience for a user, and how that time can be utilized to increase retention, for example? And he says he recalls it was a primary focus some years ago. I think you've talked about ways in which you're looking to improve retention.
Yeah, the first user hour. Darcy, do you want to speak, just because you're on our growth team, to some of the experiments or general thoughts about that?
Sure. We've worked pretty closely with the Firestorm Viewer team as well for their Welcome Island. And overall, we're always doing tests for that first user experience and looking at retention mostly, and also how many regions they visited, et cetera. So there's a bunch of data that we look at within there. Right now, some of those tests it's mostly just with Firestorm right now at the moment. We work really closely with them again. We are putting in some new technology on the back end for Second Life for the growth team. So we are going to be experimenting more with changing only one aspect. So this has actually been kind of a thorn in my side for a while, because when a resident enters Second Life and they're kind of looking around, they're doing their thing, tracking their in-world movements has been very difficult, at least on those regions themselves. And we can put up beacons, we can do all these other things. We've tried it, we've done it, and it's possible, but there's not really an easy way to do that. So what we'll be doing relatively soon with this new technology is, updating the learning islands and only changing one aspect, and then doing multiple tests like in a horizontal fashion. If that makes sense. So then look like, okay, let's say, Learning Island X51 has, a Linden dollar kiosk, or it has a, free to play skilled game, just as an example. And looking at, moving that needle, it's a long process, and it's really hard. But we're getting closer, and we are getting better.
That sounds an interesting experiment. I wonder if we can get you to come on Designing Worlds and talk about it when you're getting some data back.
Yeah, and I do have to give it to Patch and the rest of his team for we've done so many experiments with different regions and learning islands and social islands in the past, and it's been funny because no matter what we've tested so far, most of the time what we have now works better every time, and it is so annoying. we're still looking at it. It's like, here's the data back, let's look, and then Grumpity is just like, why is this happening? So it's been fun.
Okay. Zarabeth has asked, Belisaria has been an enormous success for you. How have you used it in current marketing, and how do you plan to use it as it continues to grow?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think of how to answer it, because it's evolving so quickly. I think people probably saw the theme preview news that Patch revealed. I will say this has been a very active dialogue about where and how to leverage what's going on there. Obviously, one of the challenges is supply and demand, and there's no doubt that there's demand for what's available as it gets gobbled up quickly. And so we've actually had conversations about when to pull the trigger on email, promotions for it when it's already a challenge with supply and demand. So we don't want to make that problem worse. So we're kind of weighing our options as we look at, availability and when supply and demand more equalize for those new Linden homes, et cetera. With that said, visually, because there's so many really visually impressive and nice looking new Linden home developments there, that we're making sure to try to integrate pictures in those environments into our campaigns. So you're seeing that already, but we're watching closely to see when the right time to promote those things more heavily is, when we're already at full capacity as far as demand goes. Supply and demand.
I've had a question from Aizen Min, who says, since most people have never heard of Second Life and the marketing that Second Life has done for years has not improved things, how do you plan to change that to build up our user base? I guess we've answered that in quite a few ways here today, I hope.
I'm going to put a link. I'll make sure that we get this in socials too. But the one thing I want to share with everybody that I think is most efficient to answer that is to show the nuance and complexity of what we're doing. We recently, and by recently I mean in March, published a very detailed sort of roadmap that speaks to our strategy and all of the work and efforts that we're doing in marketing across social, earned, paid, community, etc. And so rather than regurgitate that, I would encourage people to check it out. And hopefully it might change some opinions, maybe, on the fact that for those that think that we're not doing anything. That's kind of a loaded question there, Safia. But now people may disagree with what we're doing, but we are certainly doing a lot. And that can be, people can look at that blog post and I guess make their own opinions.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good way to go with that. So for the Second Life Bloggers Network, Eric Mondrian is asking this. If we sign up on video projects, for example, that are older, can those still be considered for promotion if they're still relevant? Not time limited, that is. So like music, videos, machinima, and have video projects.
Yeah. You can sign up with a YouTube channel, with the Flickr, with the blog. I'm not sure if Vimeo, the way we look at the blogs that come in, we use a feed reader. And so if Vimeo has an RSS feed type thing, I'm not familiar with it, then it should work, it should be fine. Usually we're posting newer things that are coming in, but often we also do searches. Like maybe one day we want to showcase a bunch of tutorials or home and garden. So we'll do a search. If one of the older videos pops up, we will, of course, share it if it's still relevant. We've done that a few times. So yes, you can absolutely sign up, and if it catches our eye, if we see it and if we think, oh, this might be good to share, we'll definitely share it.
Okay. I have a question from Cho Haim Yosaka. And I'm sorry, I've mispronounced your name really badly. It's a question for the group touching on a topic that was briefly brought up before regarding upcoming live streaming in world. Jokaheimer says, I have come to understand that Twitch has banned the use of Second Life videos due to possibly uncontrolled adult-related content. Will there be an attempt to perhaps change this in the future, whether with stream-safe environments or otherwise?
This is speaking to the restricted games list on Twitch. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, so yeah, this is tough because I'll be very direct and say that we are in ongoing and direct conversations with Twitch about this very issue. And I will be honest in saying that I have gone back and forth with long, detailed reasons for why we believe they need to reconsider that list and who's on it. I don't like that we're on it. I think that it's a mistake, obviously, because there's a lot of opportunity for Second Life streaming that unfortunately is not allowed currently on Twitch per their current policies. and by looking even at our own official YouTube stream and Facebook streaming, there's a lot of stuff that's great that would fit right in there. Now, of course, there's trolls and all this other stuff as well, but working with them to kind of identify what are the standards and practices or the best practices for streaming, and what can we do to help with staying compliant with that. It's tough because Second Life is a user-created platform where people have a great deal of freedom and flexibility that may not be for all tastes. So in some cases, right? So if that gets streamed, that's where Twitch takes issue. Obviously, the adult stuff in particular. So there's not. I don't think it's an insurmountable issue, but I will say that it's a challenge because we are talking to them openly. Interestingly enough, in the middle of our conversations with them, which have been going on actively for about 3 or 4 months now, we were notified that they've created a new community "quote unquote" panel that's reassessing their policies. Actually, I was happy to see the people on that panel that are showing, I think, a great diversity of viewpoints that perhaps are maybe more modern thinking than the previous approach. So we'll see where that goes. I can't promise anything because we're sort of beholden to what Twitch decides to do. As a marketing person, obviously, I would love to be on there. But people right now will find that it's difficult to do since we're on the restricted gaming list. But listen, there's Facebook for streaming. There's YouTube. People can and do stream on there, and I encourage people to support the platforms that support you.
Right. I have a question from Carrie Petrova, which is, if education is going to expand and reach out possibly to skill centre in schools, this Second Life would be a great avenue to learn more about how AutoCAD works and Photoshop, etc. Will the universities here explore this option for the real world working with Second Life, especially with COVID keeping the schools still closed? And she says there are too many tutorials that teach mesh on YouTube that are using with Blender. It is so confusing. Is there a way to find on the Linden website to give links out to very beginners so they don't become overwhelmed learning how to work with Blender, GIMP, Photoshop, Mesh, etc.? If I can answer this first, I would say that there are a lot of live classes in Second Life that teach some amazing things about this to beginners, like Builder's Brewery, for example, which is a great place to check out if you want to do some kind of very good Second Life classes. I think it's really up to the universities what they decide to teach rather than the marketing team. Strawberry, with your tutorials, have you considered doing any of these sort of basic building tools? And this is the basic building tools of Second Life.
All right, so there are building tutorials that Torley did that are excellent. I'm not a really good builder. I could try. I will do in the future, but like building outside of Second Life in Mesh, 3D Mesh softwares and so forth, that would be difficult. And also, I think there's a lot. If you search on YouTube, if you go to YouTube and search building in whatever platform, Maya or whatever software that you want to use for Second Life, there are quite a few things out there on YouTube if you search for it. Also, just Google it, and what I can do is try to create a new playlist of building tutorials that I find from residents, and I'll try to put them in there. So if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you can check our playlist and see what I find. And I believe I did do a blog post a while ago before I became a Linden on my old blog about how to become a creator, and there were a lot of resources in that post. If I find it, I can link that as well. Yeah, there's a lot of resources out there.
Yeah, I think Carrie would appreciate it. She's saying that she's finding it quite confusing, the sheer number there are. So a curated list, I think, would be very welcome to her. She's saying there's just too many resources. So a curated list that you could do would just be wonderful, I think.
I've shared a link in chat, but that's an old kind of, might be dated, but I'll try to create a new playlist for building in Second Life and see what tutorials I can find from, because the residents do a wonderful job with a lot of different kinds of tutorials. So I'll look for some of those and create a playlist, hopefully in the next week or so.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I'm just seeing if we have any more questions. Do you work with marketing agencies outside of Second Life? General question.
Darcy, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I can grab that one. We do use a few third-party agencies that are outside of the standard Google and Facebook stuff that we do. We're always monitoring their performance in terms of all the other, we call them vendors. So we're monitoring their performance against everything else. So again, we're very data focused. So yeah.
Actually, I want to elaborate, and this speaks to something that I read in the comments a while ago, and I would love to just sneak in, and that has to do. And Darcy, this is really in your domain too, so please weigh in. But to start the comment about segmentation. So speaking about data and how we sort of think about this, the blog post I shared earlier, I think we called it like the heart and science of marketing, and it's the idea that we're trying to strike, and it's challenging to do, but trying to strike the right balance between using data and hard science to identify where the opportunities are to grow, but at the same time not doing so in such a cold and icy way that doesn't acknowledge the things that slip in between the cracks of the data, which is to say the heart of the community. So if you just set an algorithm to sort of optimize for things that get the most clicks and leave it alone, you may not get the best diversity and representation in terms of the things that we feel truly represent the brand values, and the diversity and the creative freedom that we want to have people know about as they discover what Second Life is. So there's sort of an art and a science to how this works to get that balance right. But one thing I do want to call attention to is two things. One is that we're in a good place right now in the sense that we're seeing growth for Second Life across the board. That means for things like concurrency, for new user signups, for monetization, both for the economic activity that's going on, Linden home activity, all of it across the board, numbers are good right now. So that's encouraging for us, and the other thing is the segmentation part of this, and this is where I'll toss it to Darcy to speak about it. But the idea that we've identified, really what are some key lucrative communities that have high value for us for acquisition. Some are obvious, some are less obvious. But we're really not only identifying them, but then creating unique collateral and campaign content that's targeted specific to people that may have an interest, say, in railroads or in sailing, or people that are looking for romance. Darcy, I don't know if I'm misrepresenting this, but I'll toss it to you.
Yeah, I mean, that was perfect. And we did have a meeting with Gentle, and thank you again, Gentle, for kind of going over the people with disabilities and how we can market better to them overall. So that is just one of many segments that we look at. So another one is Anthro, medieval vampire, of course, which is huge with bloodlines, and everything even random from trains, as we talked about earlier, and also motorcycles, which is surprisingly a very popular theme on YouTube. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, so we have a bunch of community stuff that we're working on, and if anybody has any ideas, please email editor@lindenlab.com, and we'll definitely be helping to make out a page and get that community going.
Cornelius Colasso says, what is your best guess on the number of total users? People, not avatars. He's obviously picked up on my theory that there are only 50 people in Second Life and we just have lots of alts. Never mind. How many premium accounts?
I don't think we share the premium number specifically, but I will say premium accounts are up. The numbers I will share that we have discussed publicly have to do with monthly active users. I know we put this in one of the social chats, but the pandemic, as we mentioned, it's sort of a strange thing. I don't want to celebrate amidst the pandemic that our business is up, because that's weird. But the truth of the matter is that our business is up because of the pandemic. And we saw, I think in April, just shy of 900,000 active users for monthly active users in Second Life. We're a little lower than that this month, but it's actually still quite high and certainly well above the norms that we've seen. I think the all-time peak was marked at around, for MAU, was marked in around 2007 or so. And so then also for new user registrations, I think publicly we've shared that collectively all time that we're like, I think around 65 million registered users. Now, there's a lot of nuances to that number because that's a long-term number. But in terms of right now, new user numbers, new user registrations are up quite a bit. And the monthly active users are really seeing, I don't want to say all-time highs because compared to 2007, but they're returning closer to those levels.
That's interesting. Has there been a growth in premium accounts since the introduction of the new Linden homes?
Yes. Big time.
So that's probably pushing new premium accounts.
Yes.
Okay.
I can't share numbers, but that's the answer is yes.
Yeah, that's been significant. That's actually very good to know. You're hitting a sweet spot with the Linden homes. Okay, I'm going to ask you a final question. Have you had chance to visit the birthday celebrations yet? And has anything stood out as a must-see that you'd recommend to us, apart from the new Linden homes, of course?
I was in there earlier, and I found the Tapestry of Time, which I thought was really cool. It's like this very beautifully designed area that you walk in, and it almost feels like a temple. And it has information signs and videos, one for each year that Second Life has been here, and it was just really cool. It's like a little like library.
Okay, so any of the rest of you? The Tapestry of Time is always gorgeous. Love that.
I love the a lot of the exhibits. My favorite is the Conversation with a Stranger by Fiona Fay. I showed that during LabGab. It's just wonderful. A lot of thought-provoking images in there, and yeah, of course they were commenting about it before, but there's this ride called the Hurricane that I went on. It was pretty traumatic. I'm still suffering from PTSD from that, but it was fun. So if you guys go check out the Hurricane, it's a lot of fun, and it like puts your hands up like you're really on a roller coaster. It was great.
It's going to kill me. I know it's going to kill me. I have died so much in Second Life.
It was good.
Do I get points if I say that my favorite is Designing Worlds at SL17B?
Yes, definitely. And I will very happily give you your own Designing Worlds postcard.
Lovely.
Because I'm giving them away after that. And if anyone in the audience would like a Designing Worlds card, she gulps, just IM me and I'll send you a card, okay? But you can pick all 52 of them up at the Designing Worlds site. Okay, anyone else? Have you had chance to see?
Yeah, I checked out a few of them as well. I think my favorite was the Ethereal Realms Forest. I am a sucker for fantasy sims, and I love the ambiance, and like the fireflies are in there. It's just really relaxing for me. So kudos to the creators. Everything looks great.
Yeah, to me, I mean, it just really everyone just said. Like I just love the diversity. It's like a little bit everything. And my personal favorite is that little raving shark with a laser beam. I think that just kind of screams my spiritual animal. Like it's a celebration after all. We love a party.
I was just waiting for Patch to yell at Darcy.
Yes.
I know, sorry guys. It's been a long day. Here we are again.
Regions. Not
The
chaps.
audience are saying, even the audience are now shouting, regions! Okay, well, I am going to say thank you. Thank you so much coming and talking today. It's been really interesting to hear everything. I have Zach, I will answer that question later when I've had a chance to have a really good nose round. I haven't yet. Okay, so thank you everyone for taking part today, and it's been lovely talking to you all. Thank you to the audience for all your questions, and tomorrow we'll be here with the moles. Quite a lot of moles, I understand, but hopefully patched to keep them in order.
It's a tough job sometimes.
So thank you very much to Strawberry, Brett, Maverick, Tara, and Darcy. It's been great, guys.
Thanks, F. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you, guys.
you.
See you guys in the cornfield.
Wah wah.
Still laughing about that.
It's a scary place. I really don't like it there.